So this is essentially what we were left with after we painted the part one, and you can see the salt crystals in here, which I absolutely freaking love. Oh, I love it so much. Anyway, we're going to destroy it. Sorry, depending on how I crop this, you may or may not see one of the agents of chaos. If I crop it out, I'll make sure and I'll show you. I'll show you the agent later. Anyway, so we're going to absolutely destroy this, which is sad. It's always sad. It's always scary. Because you're like, I kind of like this in a weird, I kind of like it. I'm not going to lie. I'm not mad at it, but I'm also like, it could be something else. It could be better, or maybe it could be worse. Who's to say? But it could be. It could be. That's really how all my paintings start out, is what would happen if and it could be something else. Something yet unknown. It could be. So I clearly am I'm going to destroy it. That's really what I'm going to do. I'm going to take some buff titanium and in a dirty little porcelain thing, and I'm just gonna spread it over everything. And this is buff titanium. I like to use the cream tubes because, well, I'm spoiled, and I just like it. I love being able to control. It's so easy, and it just feels like I'm cutting out the middleman of having to like reactivate it and blah blah blah. Anyway, when it dries, it'll form crystals. And listen, I'm a magpie, all right? I need sparkles, I need crystals, I need things. Not always, but sometimes. And so I'm going to take some Naples Yellow, and I'm going to throw that in here too, because, and I know it's really yellow, and it's really, once again, in my dirty little cup, same cup that I had the buff titanium in. You would think that as a Virgo, this would just absolutely destroy me to no end. And if this were an Excel spreadsheet, and you had, both like uppercase and lowercase words in a column, I would be unable to function. But for whatever reason, in paintings, I'm absolutely okay with horrible dirty dishes. Anyway, so I'm just gonna let that do its thing. I'm gonna, of course, do a little flicking, so that it's not just everywhere. And then I'm okay with how this is spreading. I'm okay with the large volumes of fluid. And so voila, this is essentially where we're at with part 2. For the love of Glenn. So this is what we ended up with all dried. You can clearly tell it is the same painting, and everything really just kind of dried just where it was. It's not super visually interesting. I do kind of like some of it, but this is, I hate it. I don't like it, but that just means that I don't mind destroying it again. So again, this is Indigo. Some interference copper is in that indigo. As you can clearly see, it's got that little copper in there. And I'm just gonna kind of spread it around. The thing that I'm always thinking of, I guess, is that a hard edge is going to be a hard edge. So I usually, when I'm doing something, I'll completely recover a painting, just because I know that if I don't, I'm going to get hard edges. Oh, and there we are. Add a little saltwater slurry. I need more lives for the master. All right. So mix that up. Start throwing that in there. And just dab it. wherever I want to. Like, just wherever I want to. You know, it's just a rhyme of reason. Just throwing it on there. And I like to use a big brush. Sometimes I'll use a little brush, but these brushes, and I'll actually put what kind of brushes these are in the description. They're not expensive. They're very cheap. They come like 2 to a pack. And they're probably some of my favorite brushes. Just because they're pleasing. They're quite pleasing. At least to me. I don't have really any expensive brushes. Maybe someday I will invest in them, but I haven't really felt like a huge need. Oh, look, little more Naples Yellow with a dirty brush. Don't be afraid of your dirty brushes, people. Sometimes a dirty brush is your best friend, and sometimes it's a dirty brush is used on purpose, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes you're like, oh, that was a dirty brush. You know, if I had an easel to whack it on like Bob Ross, like, that would please me greatly. I do not have a space that I wish to, like, throw paint all over on purpose. Like, I mean, it happens, I do. But that was actually, as a child, that was my favorite thing when he would clean his brush on his easel.
One part of all this. Shake it off. Cover everything in the studio.
He was the man. Anyway, so spreading some of that around. And in with my Naples Yellow, there is a little interference copper. I'm pretty sure. Just because I can't help myself. I'm so into interference copper right now, people. Don't judge me. Don't judge what I like. I can't, you know, don't fence me in, man. I can't be held down. So I've got, again, a lot of pooling water. I've got some places that I know that'll be like really hard lines. So I'm just kind of like looking at that, playing with that. Man, there's times where I really like, where I love like certain flows, like certain like gradients that I know it won't be there at the end, but it does please me in the beginning. Now, do I like this painting as it is? Absolutely not. But we'll get there. Like, I don't know if it's intuitive painting or just painting till I like something. Just throwing shit at the wall until it pleases me. But there it is. There it is. All right. So doing that, making those decisions, trying to figure out how many paintbrushes I can hold in one hand without getting paint all over everything. All right. So after that one is dry, this is where we ended up. Again, not a huge fan. Like, I like some of it. I don't like a lot of it. So, I've mixed up a pretty big batch of, oh, look at her. Look at her. And by her, I mean the indigo. Man, I love indigo. This is indigo and interference copper. You can actually see that swirling in there. And salt slurry. This is just another layer, and I am going to cover this entire thing. Because I really need to get rid of some of that Naples Yellow. It's gotta go, man. It can't be like, I want it, but I don't want it like, you know, I don't want it that much. Like, it's too much. It's gone too far. I need to dial it back. Pull up, man. Pull up.
Pull up. Okay. Pull up.
Anyway, so now I'm just going to, because once again, I don't want any hard lines. And so I'm just going to spread that out. Wet everything down again. If you're like, oh, she's a classically trained artist. She's not. She's not. She just likes color. You know? Just loves color. And likes to break rules that she probably doesn't know. So, you know what? Like, you do you, people. You do you. Don't let anyone tell you can't just, like, do you. In with my big brush. The big brush that I love. And if I need a little brush, I can just use a corner. And now I'm just like, what? What am I going to do? Like, I've got some incursion. fluid incursion. That's okay. Speaking of fluid incursion, I'm not going to word blue on this, but I feel like it's a public service announcement. Maybe not a public service announcement, it's just something that I experienced recently and felt like was a little bit hilarious. Because I have a horrible sense of humor, like the sense of humor of like a 12-year-old. Anyway, I find it like very interesting that we have warnings on freaking like, hey, your coffee's hot. You know, we have warnings, don't put this bag on your head. But there was no warning on the 7.5 ounce can of prune juice. There was no warning. All right, people. And I hadn't eaten anything that day. And I drank 3 of those bad boys. And there should have been a warning. Like, really, really should have been a warning. Some kind of a really bold warning that was like, listen, treat these like you're loading a cannon. Are you aware of what you're doing? I'm not a fool. I was a little aware. I wasn't quite as aware as maybe I should have been. And so I'm just going to make you aware. Like, listen, be careful. And also, I'm like, if people can sue companies about that they're upset because their boneless chicken wings aren't just made from wing, or that they didn't know not to put the bag on their head, I feel like I could become a prunillionaire. I could take it to the prune council and be like, listen, you didn't warn me. You didn't put a big warning on your can that was like, hey, if you drink too many of these, you could shit your pants. And that would have been helpful. That would have been so helpful in my life. Like, would I still have drinking 3 of them? Just slammed 3 of them down because I was like, these cans are tiny. Maybe I would have, because I live dangerously. But at least I would have been informed. You know what I mean? Like, knowledge is power. And so anyway, I'm just saying that if you're ever looking at a 4-pack of prune juice, maybe take precautions. Take precautions, or, limit yourself. Have a friend come in and limit yourself. Okay, back to painting. Everyone poops. All right, guys, everyone poops. And actually, a little anxiety tip for anyone who suffers anxiety in a group. If you see people and you're like, oh, they're so amazing. They're so special. They're so much better than I am. I just look at them and I'm like, you know what? They've probably shit themselves at one time or another. They definitely poop. Unless they're some kind of a cyborg or android. And I feel like that levels everyone down to a certain playing field. You know what I mean? Anyway, so now we've kind of covered this up. There's a lot of glare from the ring light, but you know what? We'll go on to where we end up, which is here. This is what it all dried down to, and I gotta say, I am loving it. Okay, I do. It's very atmospheric. I actually took a scan of it because I was a little bit afraid of losing it. But that also helped me because, if you're ever afraid of losing a painting, guys, take a picture of it, scan it, however you preserve your paintings. And so if you ever wanted to make a print of it, you could later. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid. Anyway, so this is where we got to. You can clearly see that there's some texture in there from the saltwater slurries that we keep, throwing on. And there's a lot of different colors, and that interference copper she's there, and she's so pleasing. I love her so much. So that's where we're going to start. I've got a little bit of white gouache. Okay, I don't like gouache. Well, I shouldn't say I don't like gouache. I should say that I don't really use gouache. Nothing against gouache. I just don't really use it, but I do use it in some very specific like circumstances. And what I do is I will usually water it down, but I'm very careful to make it thicker than any watercolor paint I'm going to use. Okay. So I usually I'll usually put a quarter less paint, or a third less paint, I should say, in it, so that it's still a little bit like thicker. Because I want my watercolor paint to intrude. And so I want my watercolor paint to be just a little bit thinner. For the love of Glenn. Oh, I'm coming in with some titanium. Buff titanium. I'm going to use the dirty thing that I had mixed up my Naples Yellow in. So it's going to be buff titanium, whatever Naples Yellow was in that container, as well as interference copper. Don't judge me. Don't judge. Okay? Like, I told you, I love it. I love it so much. And then I'm just going to start kind of dropping it in with the tip of a brush. And so I'm going to start introducing it around that gouache. And because I want it to make inroads as well. So, and I don't want those hard barriers. So we're just going to start kind of throwing it on the side, letting it, and that white gouache will come out a little bit, which is great. The titanium will come out the buff titanium. It'll come out a little bit. And we're just going to start like seeing what happens. That's really what all this is just seeing what happens. Oh, look, that happened. You know what? We'll call that a happy accident. All right. That's the fickle finger. You doing its thing. Intentional. That's what this is. Intentional painting. Oh, I love how it makes its little riblets. Anyway, so, and you can see those little, like they almost look like little trees. Throw some of that in there. Some darkness. There's, like, I know that, like, we'll have to wait and see how this ends up. But I think this is going to be a little bit cool so far. Oh, Agent of Chaos, coming in to see if there's anything needing his attention. I have 2 Agents of Chaos. They're brothers, both in bond and in blood. And I swear I could be doing anything, but the moment that I pull out paint, like something that they could step in, they have a sense. They're like, oh, she's doing something that may require not only our direct supervision, but also, our helpful pause. So now I am interested. But I'll throw a picture at it. They're adorable. I love them so much. Their names are Watson and Holmes, of course, because listen, don't judge me, all right? This is just a video of me being like, don't judge me, don't judge my decisions for my life, don't do it. So, and then fast forward, cover, blah, blah, blah. And then because I've got so much white, and I'm not, it's too white. So I'm going to try and bring that into like other areas of this painting, kind of pulling out some of that. Otherwise it's too stark. It's not atmospheric. It won't do. Try harder. And And that's actually like I'm so envious of painters who are like really like able to draw. Like I'm so in awe of you guys. So for all you artists out there that can draw things, I'm in awe. You're seriously talented, and I love what you guys do. Anyway, so now I'm just muddling my paintbrush through it. I don't want to give up all my white, obviously. Like, I stuck it in there for a reason. And I wanted the rivulets in there for a reason. But it's just a little too much. Oh, going in with a little more buff titanium. And throwing that in. You know, speaking of things that make you shit your pants, I was watching some history documentary the other day, and it was like the Roman army was out like marching along on some war campaign. Don't ask me to remember which one. But anyway, they came across like a bunch of honey, and they were like, oh, with honey, this will be delicious on our toast, or whatever it is that you have when you're in the Roman army. And so they all like freaking ate it. But it was like honey that had been made by bees who were apparently doing some kind of, I don't know, it was tainted honey. It was tainted honey, okay? And they, I think it like gave them hallucinations, but it also made them violently, listen, let's just say that there was some trouble in the Southland, okay? And there's nothing that makes somebody want to fight less than when you have like explosive diarrhea. And so I think that they were like, this is one of like the first instances of like biological warfare. And I was like, yeah. But on the other thing, I'm like, come on, Romans. Like, you're marching in a campaign to go to war, and you magically stumble upon a shit ton of honey, okay? And you're not a little bit suspicious of like, you know? You're not like, like, this seems like a well-timed placement. I'm just saying, you know, maybe be a little suspicious. Like, I can't imagine that like, those bees just, like, it was in the, like, the tree was there already. You know what I mean? Like, someone had to, like, put it in their path. And they did. Like, someone did deliberately put it in their path. And I'm just like, okay, well, surely there was, like, a little bit of a sign of, like, human tampering. You know, like, if you're on a, like, military campaign, and there's, like, suddenly, like, a delightfully full beehive full of delicious honey that you know your, like, enemy probably would have used if it'd been good, you probably, you know, just walk away, man. Yeah, you don't have honey on your toast, and that sucks, assuming you had toast. But also maybe you won't shit yourself. So, you know, just a thought if you happen to be, you know, on a campaign, trying to, like, you know, whatever, just be careful. If you see, like, a bunch of honey and it looks a little too good to be true, just, you know, keep it in mind that someone could be trying to, like, make you not only high, but also, you know, have some problems. Yeah. And yeah. Anyway, this episode is brought to you by, Clorox. I don't know, like, it's not, but I feel like it should be. But anyway, back to painting. Just keep zhuzhing, zhuzh it, move your colors around a little bit. Make sure that they don't, straight lines are not natural, man. So let it do its thing until you're happy with it. And then of course, make sure that you've got some lightness in some other areas so it doesn't look, too on purpose, like someone dumping a bunch of like bad honey in your path. And remember, it's going to change. Like it's going to change. The end result will not be what you see. So you just kind of have to wait and see what happens. But at some point, call it quits, be done, and we'll see how it turns out. I mean, we're going to see how it turns out, but it's obviously going to dry first. So let's wait and let it dry. Yay. I do love some of these, like, really, like, light, that, like, oh, I love that so much. We might have to do this again. All right. So we'll show it at the end dry. It'll be beautiful, or maybe not. It'll be something. All right. I promise it'll be something. That's a promise I can keep. It'll be something. Anyway, thank you guys all for listening in. It was absolutely fabulous spending some virtual time with you. If you've made it through until now, thank you for hanging out with me. I hope that you are not caught unawares with your prune juice applications. Here's what the painting looks like now that it's all dry. And as promised, here are the agents of chaos. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Thank you so much. Bye.